You are responsible for overcoming guilt by rising above it, by growing beyond yourselves, by changing for the better. Even if you don't expect anything from life, doesn't life expect something from you? Love is living the experience of another person in all his uniqueness and singularity. Live as if you were living already for the second time, and as if you had acted the first time as wrongly as you are about to act now. Imagine first that the present is past, and second, that the past may yet be changed and amended. Man exists authentically only when he is not driven, but rather responsible. Freedom is only part of the story and half of the truth. Freedom is but the negative aspect of the whole phenomenon, whose positive aspect is responsibleness. Know that without the suffering, the growth that I have achieved would have been impossible. Life ultimately means taking the responsibility to find the right answer to its problems, and to fulfill the tasks which it constantly sets for each individual. Our sacrifice did have a meaning. People have enough to live by, but nothing to live for. Ultimately, man should not ask what the meaning of his life is, but rather he must recognize that it is he who is asked. Everything great is just as difficult to realize as it is rare to find. The world is in a bad state, but everything will become still worse unless each of us does his best. No one can relieve him of his suffering or suffer in his place. His unique opportunity lies in the way in which he bears his burden. We must learn to see life as meaningful despite our circumstances. It emphasizes that there is an ultimate purpose to life. What you have experienced, no power on earth can take from you. He who knows the why for his existence is able to bear almost anyhow. Love is the ultimate and the highest goal to which man can aspire. 78% said their first goal was finding a purpose and meaning to my life. I think the meaning of our existence is not invented by ourselves, but rather detected. The meaning of my life is to help others find the meaning of theirs. Man is ultimately self-determining. Man does not simply exist, but always decides what his existence will be, what he will become in the next moment. Humor was another of the soul's weapons in the fight for self-preservation. When we are no longer able to change a situation, just think of an incurable disease such as inoperable cancer. We are challenged to change ourselves. We must never forget that we may also find meaning in life, even when confronted with a hopeless situation, when facing a fate that cannot be changed. Every situation is distinguished by its uniqueness, and there is always only one right answer to the problem posed by the situation at hand. We give our suffering meaning by the way in which we respond to it. Meaning must be found. It cannot be given. And it must be found by oneself, by one's own conscience. The opportunities to act properly, the potentialities to fulfill a meaning, are affected by the irreversibility of our lives. Values, however, cannot be espoused and adopted by us on a conscious level, or they are something that we are. In the past, nothing is irretrievably lost, but rather, on the contrary, everything is irrevocably stored and treasured. If there is a meaning in life at all, then there must be a meaning in suffering. Don't aim at success. The more you aim at it and make it a target, the more you are going to miss it. For success, like happiness, cannot be pursued. It must ensue. Happiness must happen, and the same holds for success. You have to let it happen by not caring about it. Every human being has the freedom to change at any instant. If one cannot change a situation that causes his suffering, he can still choose his attitude. Life holds a potential meaning under any conditions, even the most miserable ones. Human life, under any circumstances, never ceases to have a meaning, and that this infinite meaning of life includes suffering and dying, privation and death. You cannot control what happens to you in life, but you can always control what you will feel and do about what happens to you. We needed to stop asking about the meaning of life, and instead to think of ourselves as those who were being questioned by life daily and hourly. Our answer must consist, not in talk and meditation, but in right action and right conduct. No situation repeats itself, and each situation calls for a different response. The man, whose self-esteem had always depended on the respect of others, is emotionally destroyed. There are things which must cause you to lose your reason, or you have none to lose. 3 possible sources for meaning. In work, doing something significant. In love, caring for another person. And in courage during difficult times. Without suffering and death, human life cannot be complete. The greatest task for any person is to find meaning in his or her life. It did not really matter what we expected from life, but rather what life expected from us. Success will follow you precisely because you had forgotten to think of it. It is we, ourselves, who must answer the questions that life asks of us, and to these questions, we can respond only by becoming responsible for our existence. No one has the right to do wrong, not even if wrong has been done to them. It isn't the past which holds us back, it's the future, and how we undermine it today. Man has both potentialities within himself. Which one is actualized depends on decisions, but not on conditions. A human being should never become a means to an end. In some way, Suffering ceases to be suffering at the moment it finds a meaning, such as the meaning of a sacrifice. Life is not something, it is the opportunity for something. It is our responsibility to look for meaning in life, even in the darkest times. And whatever the circumstances, we always have a vestige of free will. Being human is nothing other than being conscious and being responsible. When the impossibility of replacing a person is realized, it allows the responsibility which a man has for his existence and its continuance to appear in all its magnitude. I do not forget any good deed done to me, and I do not carry a grudge for a bad one. When man can't find meaning in his life, he distracts himself with pleasure. I believe that my handicap will only enhance my ability to help others. I know that without the suffering, the growth that I have achieved would have been impossible. Individuality can only be valuable when it is not individuality for its own sake, but individuality for the human community. The immediate influence of behavior is always more effective than that of words. Once an individual's search for a meaning is successful, it not only renders him happy, but also gives him the capability to cope with suffering. We have absolutely no control over what happens to us in life. But what we have paramount control over is how we respond to those events. The meaning of your life is to help others find the meaning of theirs. We do not ask life what the meaning of life is. Life asks us, what is the meaning of your life? And life demands our answer. We dislike talking about our experiences. No explanations are needed for those who have been inside, and the others will understand neither how we felt then nor how we feel now. The meaning of life is to give life meaning. Man is capable of changing the world for the better if possible, and of changing himself for the better if necessary. It is not freedom from conditions, but it is freedom to take a stand toward the conditions.
bensound.com